Peace, family. Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. And I was listening to somebody in a spiritual group that I am in earlier today, and they were talking about how they've just been so edgy, and they had like really a lot of nightmares last night. And I also have been very edgy. I've also been feeling like my body feels just not great, let's say, and been feeling extremely fatigued. I've been feeling very what is the term I want to use here? Extremely fatigued, and part of it is because of dealing with a lot of heavy purging that's going on, and I wanted to make a quick little energy assessment. If you watched the cosmic tea that I just uploaded for what to expect in these next 7 days, I did talk about how there would be a lot of purging, and it wouldn't feel much better than the last week did. For my own part, in the ethers, I have definitely sensed a lot of like confusion, like really confusing energy and messages coming in, and conflicting demands, and that to me reads as crossroads energy. I was listening to another oracle, and I was listening to them, and in the reading that they were doing, 𝗂𝗪𝗁 came up. And 𝗂𝗪𝗁 is a keeper of the crossroads. She's one of the keepers of the crossroads. She's one of the keepers of the keys, triple goddess. So this makes me think about the Morrigan, and we are talking here about dark divine feminine and her release from captivity. That is what the age of Aquarius is about. It's about her release from captivity. And restoration to her power, which is a lot of why we have this Pluto and Aquarius energy. Pluto has to do with personal power. Pluto's the ruler, the modern planetary ruler of Scorpio, and Scorpio is a feminine sign. And actually, I would associate it with Eris as well, the twin sister of Aries, and she is part of a triad. I believe the triad of dwarf planets that were found included, because Pluto is not actually considered a planet, it's considered a dwarf planet. So Pluto, Eris, and Ceres, I believe, were all found at this around the same time, or they're considered as together. And Ceres is Demeter, and if we look at it this way, then, you know, in some, Plutus in some regards is seen as the son of Demeter, which would make him the half-sister of half-brother of Persephone. But then I believe that sometimes they see him also as the child of Persephone. I have to double check about that, but the point is that Eris is seen by some as Persephone, and Persephone is seen as a triple goddess, and she was protected in the underworld when she was kidnapped, or abducted rather, by I'm hearing Hathor, but actually by Hecate. And this is all pretty relevant, I would say, because When we talk about personal power, I think that it's actually important to remember that, like, where did I write about this? I wrote about this for the astral insights that I write for a client. But the important thing to remember right now is that it's not really about anybody else. It's like your issues, your points of contention, those struggles that we are challenged by, interpersonally and personally. You know, we can, of course, pinpoint back to another character in the narrative, like of our villain origin story. But at the end of the day, it is always us who makes the decision to cause harm, to do harm. If that's what we choose, it's always us who makes the decision to transcend the base desire for revenge, which has to do with Scorpio. The base desire for revenge, the base desire to balance the scales by making the other feel as you do. And balancing the scales is important, but revenge is actually incredibly, although like obviously it's immature, it's also impractical. And it's spiritually immature, not just in the sense of like, oh, you're being childish, but like, if you're not somebody who can take pain and transmute it into wisdom and power, then you're just not somebody who's very progressed or evolved spiritually. And you're not really an alchemist in that case, which is fine because everybody is in their own, you know, they're on their own spiritual journey, they're in their own place in their spiritual journey, their own individual point of quantum space-time. And it's not necessarily anybody's job to be the person that you want them to be for your benefit. You know what I mean? And so I don't know why that feels like super relevant to bring up. I am just like channeling right now a little cosmic tea action. The thing that I really wanted to speak about and share with you all is that right now we are coming to a place of relief, and it's always darkest before the dawn. I know that everybody's like worn out and tired of like traversing this road and dealing with all of this, you know, stuff. But and that's so real, and I respect that. I respect that, and I feel that deeply for myself as well. But I want to say that the purging, a lot of like, it's not necessarily spiritual attacks, it's purging. There's a shadow part of ourselves in our psyche that is the toxic feminine that does not want to be, does not want to feel like she's not in power, does not want to feel like she's not in control. You know what I mean? Wants to be the one driving the boat is what I'm hearing. But it's like, who wants to be the one steering the ship? And so like controlling your mind and controlling you. And ultimately the only way to break free and truly find your personal power, truly find your sovereignty is to, how do I say this? The only way to like break free from that is to use your free will to not do what she's telling you to do or what she wants you to do. Okay, this is a mind control entity. It is ethereal in nature, and it is an aberration. It is a bastardization of who you were truly meant to be in this life, and yeah, specifically in this life. Let's just keep it simple. So it's inside of you. It's not about like, everybody's going to be dealing with that right now. Everybody's going to be grappling with that energy right now. And some people are stronger than others. Some people are more evolved or less evolved than others. So some people are going to be able to be like, okay, no, I'm not dealing with this. While others are going and like, I'm going to make the wise, mature decision to just, break the karmic cycle and see my way out of this situation by no longer perpetuating the kinds of problems that, or the kinds of problematic cycles that are associated with this whole stupid situation that has expired. It's in terms of utility, it is expired. And by saying no to your base instinct for revenge, because that's what it comes down to. Like this energy, this entity, if you want to consider it as being Lilith, for instance, she's a fractal, a timeline, an archetype that we go down. Those of us who've been scorned or spurned can go down this neural pathway. And at a certain point, you just have to rewire your neurological, your synapses, and you have to do things differently. But Lilith was attacked. You know what I mean? Like she was SA'd by her husband, the person who was supposed to love and protect her. And what I have downloaded in the ethers is that this happened because he was under a spell. And he was put under a spell to be controlled to do this. Probably some archonic stuff. And this obviously, like, this happened in higher dimensions. If you haven't watched my channelings on Lilith, I would encourage you to go do that. You might be somebody who like is attracted to her energy, who works with her energy a lot. And if that's the case, this will be super relevant for you. Sorry, y'all. I'm like trying to fucking find something to wear, but I hate my wardrobe. I hate my wardrobe so much. I don't even want to fucking talk about it. But all the same, well, I'm not like hating my wardrobe, or let me just like move on from it. But she was betrayed. It's, yes, in part due, like, part of the problem is the fact that like she was attacked, but it's also like a deep and thoroughgoing betrayal of the divine masculine by the divine masculine of the divine feminine. And this is the heartbreak that one experiences, because it's one thing if some random person just attacks you, you know what I mean? But it's a whole other story if it's somebody that you are close to, that you trust, that you love. And unfortunately, it usually is that, actually. Like, most violent crimes happen with people, like in relationships with people that we love, because those are people who are able to get close enough to you to do these kinds of things. That's what the statistic is, as opposed to what I think that a lot of people probably think that it is. That it's just like, oh my God, some random person. That's not really how this goes. But yeah, it's really the betrayal trauma that causes us to want revenge. Like, revenge against someone that we trusted who betrays us is a completely different beast than getting revenge upon somebody, some random person who slighted you, you know. I'm gonna slow down and just take my time with this reading, or this energy reading, because I don't want to rush it. And she's like wanting full attention. Yeah, so I guess that, like, the most important thing to remember, what she did is she fled to the waters. And that's where she started creating her demon children. And the angels that were sent after her were like, if you don't come back, we're gonna kill your babies. And she's like, okay, well, I'm not coming back, so do your worst. And they did do their worst. And eventually, she was the one who put a stop to the killing. But she did say that she was going to kill babies. Of the children of Adam until, yeah, basically she just said that she was going to do that, and that's what she chose to do. And then she finally stopped, but like fleeing to the waters, we're talking about like the consciousness and birthing demons. These are these aberrations, these like two-dimensional black and white, like thinking, these like the destructive use of our free will, you know, all of this stuff, like creating nefarious timelines and fractals of trauma to have to heal from. And this is what she was able to do in the ethers, in the cosmic sea. And now we're coming to a point where it's like, well, you know, if you've watched the other channelings and readings, like, why, well, now, like, we're like, well, we understand why she did it, but that doesn't mean it's okay, and she has to be brought to task, because ultimately she's hurting herself as well. And this is the, you know, this is the Roman Empire. This is the Euro-American colonial empire. Dark origin story. Okay. And so we're all expressing ourselves. We're all experiencing this agitation as this really, really recalcitrant, rebellious part of ourselves is being reintegrated. She's been being healed. And so, you know, if you're experiencing nightmares, if you're experiencing what feels like spiritual attacks, I would actually frame it like this: it's your consciousness attacking itself. It's you attacking you. If you can own and claim the part of you, like your Lilith, and you can develop mastery and a mastery relationship as opposed to a dominant relationship, because that's what it was always meant to be about. It was about balance, it was about equity, it was about equilibrium, and it was the divine masculine who transgressed that. Well, he was under a spell. But yeah, it's time. This is why we have to integrate forgiveness, and this comes from striving towards Christ consciousness in all that we do. So you may not be like out on the street, like, you know, conducting electricity through your fingers at like some big beast with like horns and things like that. But this is the spiritual war, and it is in the mundane. And that's where we have to look. that's where we have to look to address the issues and the points of contention. All right. What's happening right now with these dreams and everything is that like this energy is purging, and you just need to keep supporting yourself and letting it go and removing it. Okay. So doing your energy cleansing, prayer, meditation, spiritual baths are going to be really important with salt water. And I feel like maybe let's do a little bit of energy work now and see what we can get. So if you want to accept, do so. Do not listen to this while driving or operating a vehicle of any sort. I would suggest to you to either sit down or lay down and, you know, just tune into the awareness of your breath. You don't need to start trying to control it, but just become aware of it so that you can come back into your body. If you feel safe to close your eyes, go ahead and do that. But if not, just take the focus from your eyes and bring it inward, especially like I'm feeling between the ears, so the ear chakras, where it's like we're not trying to hear it, we're not trying to hear reason. And definitely the ajna and the third eye, so ear, nose, throat is what I'm picking up on. And it's like definitely in the feminine channel. So let's get into some breathing here and just allow the energy to move through you freely. I'd love to hear in the comments section about what your experience with this energy work is like. The feminine has been carrying I'm hearing beast of burden. It's carrying too much of, it's like Atlas, and I'm hearing Atlas shrugged. What will happen if you stop overperforming your duties and let others have the opportunity to show up for the collective? If they can't, if they refuse to, that's not your problem. As an interdependent, self-sovereign person, you're not even part of that collective anymore. You're a part of a collective of other sovereign beings. So we're going to just let that go. You don't have to do it. If you won't feel resentful, you won't feel vengeful if you stop putting yourself in a position to feel that way. Just because someone tells you to do something doesn't mean you have to. Just because somebody doesn't do something doesn't mean that you have to. You have to stop depriving yourself, and you have to stop overperforming your role, because it's obviously not winning you anything. So let's continue with this. Yeah, this is like a going down with the ship in the feminine. You need to stop being prideful, some of you. Stop being prideful. Just because you did something one time a certain way, and like you're too prideful to apologize and say sorry and to go a different way from how you've been doing things, and you need to let that go. You need to let that go, because it's that is what's keeping you prisoner. And then others of you, it's like you don't have enough self-respect and pride, and so you're choosing to go down with the ship because you feel a false sense of loyalty, and you need to let that go. A lot of you need more rest. I'm hearing sacred rest. It's just been go, 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 and you need to rest, rest, rest. Mentally, especially. Take it easy. Like, you need to like even walk slower. Like, go for a stroll instead of having to power walk everywhere. And if you have places to be, give yourself an extra half hour so that you can leisurely stroll to where you have to go instead of having to rush everywhere. This is something that your innermost self is very resentful about, is that like you don't make enough time for yourself, and it's showing up in like all aspects of your life. A lot of folks are in a trauma response. If you're feeling super tired, this is part of why. There is wounding here around like not receiving the proper support from a feminine caregiver and feeling abandoned, perhaps, even if they were physically there. Never feeling safe in your environment. Okay. So there may have been a little bit of, anyway, I removed an entity, sentient entity. You may feel your body getting hot at this point. It's okay if that happens. Just continue to breathe through it deeply. Shame around the actions that you took when you didn't know any better. Shame around the actions that you took when you were acting out of your trauma. We're going to do some clarification of the solar plexus now. Binding this entity, I bind you in all densities, dimensions, and directions of quantum space-time. Let's do this. We got disconnected there. I am going to go ahead and reread. I'm actually just going to continue. Anything of the light connecting me and my collective, and to the collective, to any and all energy not serving our most divine benefit and the most divine benefit of all. I call all of my power and all of my energy back to me and purified in the Holy Spirit across all of quantum space-time, and I do the same for the collective by my authority. I declare my divine, sacred, holy sovereignty and dominion over my spirit, my mind, my energy, my feelings, and my vessel, and I do the same for the collective by my authority. I make all of these declarations inside, outside, and across all of quantum space-time, and in all directions, dimensions, and densities, and in all quantum timelines holistically and completely, in the name of the Most High Divine Creator, now, forever, and always. By my authority for myself and for the collective, I seal our energy and our auras, grounding it in our sacred bodies, which are grounded in the Holy Spirit on a foundation of Christ. So have I spoken, and so shall it be. So this is a lot to do with the solar plexus. Whatever trauma you experienced that warped your sense of self and your self-esteem needs to be healed. You're going to want to work with your sun sign. You're going to want to work with Aries, or rather Mars in your chart. But I would say really you're going to want to work with Chiron. Chiron is in Aries right now. But it has to do with your sun sign especially. You might be a Leo. But you're also going to work on your solar chakra this week. And I really need to encourage you, stop eating crap. Stop eating candy. Like, it's even better for you to make your own food and like eat your own like baked goods and things like this, but stop eating sugar. In fact, even if not forever, like you need to stop. This is a warning. You don't want the consequences of this. Okay. Stop eating so much like sugar. Stop eating things that are not good for you, that are bad for you, that you know you're allergic to. You know what I mean? And really just like focus on healing your gut health with the probiotics, with the prebiotics, that sort of thing. Whatever, maybe go to an endocrinologist, but focus on that. And part of that healing is the trauma recovery work that is required for you to be able to truly heal your gut. Okay? So I love you all truly and deeply. I'm going to write more about this for the newsletter, which is called The Mysteries. It will be available for the premium tier of the newsletter. I'm going to write more about this so that we can have a clearer understanding, but the solar plexus connects us to the sun, and you need this diamond sunlight to be coming in to cast out all of the shadow, because the only way that these entities can exist within you is in the shadow. They can only exist in the darkness. And this is like, the shadow is the darkness that's cast by the material, by the ego. So when the light of divinity shines upon the ego, the shadow, it is ephemeral. It's not true. It's not real. It goes when we go. There's a lot of, I don't need to go down that road, but we're now releasing all of that, those maladaptive character defects. Really, it is defective, and they're not working for you anymore. So I also want to encourage you to sit down and think about, who do you want to be? Who do you want to show up as? Write down the characteristics. What do they look like? What do they sound like? How do they act? How do they show up? Who is that? And then make baby steps of how you're going to get to be that person, so that you can have self-esteem. There's a transmutation of trauma that has to happen here, and guilt and shame. And I would really encourage you to book a session with me. This isn't work that we can get done in one session, but we can do some energy work in a session and like get you clear and informed about like what's going on. But this is actually like, I'd encourage you to book a coaching package with me, a self-sovereignty advising package with me, so that we can do this work together over the course of 3, 6, 9, or 12 sessions. And we can transmute this together and empower you to be able to do this for yourself, because that's what being self-sovereign is about. Knowing when to ask for help, but also knowing how to like support yourself, which includes asking for help sometimes. Anyway, I love you all truly and deeply. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you on the flip side.